Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to all the devotees to our program Srimad Bhagavatam Study Shloka Memorization Workshop. In this workshop, we are aiming to encourage the devotees in our class to memorize the verses, practice reciting it, sharing the translation, and any other important realization regarding the verse. The objective is mainly to deepen our appreciation and understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are doing a regular class on Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavatam study where we discuss these chapters in detail. But this particular part of the program is mainly to encourage devotees to learn important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, mainly to relish Srimad Bhagavatam a little more. So devotees so far have been very forth participative. They are enjoying this, although we would appreciate more devotees to do join us. But let us work together with all the devotees who are already coming to our classes. So today's verse is from the 13th chapter of the first canto, the 47th verse. A very beautiful verse. Overall, this is our 34th class. We will start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyottama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So I'll display the verse what we are going to practice today in the workshop. So this verse is in short, we can summarize this verse as law of existence. So you can see how Srimad Bhagavatam presents it, written so many years ago, but still valid. The learning from this verse is still valid. It is law of existence. Ahastani sahastanam appadani chatushpadam phalguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Ahastani sahastanam appadani chatushpadam phalguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. So like this is the recitation of the verse written in Anushtup Chanda. Now what I will do is I will remove the verse from the screen and request devotees who are now in the class to take turns and recite this verse. So we will start with our senior most student, Jivan Radha Prabhu. So Jivan Prabhu, would you like to recite?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can start the recitation.
Okay, please also show the camera. Yeah.
Am I visible?
Yeah, you are visible. Correct.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Shloka number 47. That is loss of existence. Ahastane sahastanam apadani chatushpadam palguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam.
Very nice, very sweet. Yeah, please now can you explain the word meanings of the different Sanskrit words in the verse?
This verse is about the loss of existence. Ahastani means those who are devoid of ahastani, that is, those who are devoid of hands. Sahastanam, those who are endowed with hands. Those who are devoid of hands are the prey for the people who are endowed with hands. That is the meaning of the first sentence. Apadani. Though apadani means those who are without devoid of legs. And chatushpada means chatu means four. Those who are with four legs. And those who are, the second line meaning is those who are devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged people. And next thing is Palguni Tatra Mahatam. Palguni means those who are weak. Tatra means there, Mahatam of the powerful. And those who are weak are the subsistence for the people who are powerful. Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. Jivo means that is the living entity, living being. Jivasya means another living being. Jivanam means is the subsistence. One living being is the subsistence for the other living being. This is the meaning of this. This is the law of subsistence. That's what this verse says. As far as the context of this verse is concerned, actually, after chastisement of by Vidura, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they leave the kingdom to the forest to actually they are on the path of, they want to go on the path of liberation. So at that point of time, Yudhishthira inquires with anxiety to Sanjaya and about their fate. And when he is not able to get the proper answer for the proper response from him, at that point of time, Narada Muni enters that scene and he clears and he mentions all the philosophical and he clears all the doubts of Yudhishthira's illusion. And these are covered in verses 41 to 50. Now we are in verse number 47, actually. I will briefly explain what has been explained in the verses 41 to 46 or 46. First of all, actually, this Narada Muni points out to Yudhishthira that everyone is under the Lord's control, and the Lord, it is the Lord who brings the living entities together and also disperses them. Then the next verse, he points out, he actually brings out two analogies. One is the analogy of a cow, and the other is the analogy of a drama player. And normally a cow is bound by a rope in its nose. And similarly, the human beings are bound by the Vedic rituals, Vedic injunctions, and which are not Vedic injunctions are nothing but they are the orders of the Lord. So that is the first analogy he brings out. So everything is depending on the Lord's decision. Similarly, human beings, similarly, in the case of a drama player, he sets up and also disperses various playthings. Similarly, the Lord brings men together and also separate them by his supreme will. So just like the drama player does all these things, similarly, the Lord brings out all the living entities either together or disperses them according to his supreme will. He then points out the lamentation. Actually, the lamentation separation is only due to illusion, and it is only due to the ignorance of yourself. He also points out that no one can protect others when he actually somebody is there. He himself is in the grip of a serpent. So that serpent is compared to karma, kala, and the modes. Then how he can do the controlling of the others? This is the point of it. Next, finally, he comes to this shloka. At this point of time, expecting that Yudhishthira might ask, what about the Dhritarashtra's maintenance, what he will do, what about the danger of animals in the forest? Then Narada actually answers that the Lord provides everyone's maintenance. At this point of time, this particular shloka, he mentions and answers in this word, stating that one living being is the natural for another living being by the law of existence. This is the thing which is being brought out in this verse. This is what is the thing and the context of this verse. As far as the Prabhupada's purport is concerned, Jiva, actually, I would like to read out that particular thing from Prabhupada's purport. Actually, a system, and I will just read out, it only takes about 1 minute. A systematic law of subsistence in the struggle of existence is there by the supreme will, and there is no escape for anyone by any amount of planning. Everything is planned by Lord. Nobody can do anything. The living beings who have come to material world against the will of the supreme being are under the control of a supreme power called Maya Shakti. Those who are the conditioned soul, they are subjected to the Maya Shakti, and the Maya Shakti is nothing but the deputant of the Lord. And this Daivi Maya is meant to pinch the conditioned soul by threefold messages. That is actually, that's what is that Adi Bhautik body is being mentioned here. That is, one living entity is the cause for the other living entities. He says about the prey. That is, to the weak or the subsistence of the strong. I feel this is due to I think Prabhupada is mentioning in this verse about the threefold, especially about the Adi Bhautika. No one is strong enough to protect himself from the onslaught of a stronger, and by the will of the Lord, there are systematic categories of the. Actually, the God has categorized all the weak, the strong, and all the strongest categories. There is nothing to be lamented if a tiger eats a weaker animal, including a man, including a man, and because that is the law of the Supreme Lord. But although the Lord said, but the human being, even though the human being, he is subjected to the laws of the scriptures. The human being is meant to obey the laws. So this is he cannot eat any other animal. Actually, he can eat only things like vegetables and fruits and all that. All the sattvic food he has to eat, and also that also he has to offer to the Lord. That's what is the 9.26 says. Patram pushpam palam toyam jome bhaktya bhakya prayachati tata aham ashnami ashnami tadaham ashnami tadaham bhakti abhritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So one has to offer it to the Lord, and then only do it. So as far as this verse is concerned, otherwise he will eat as explained in verse number 13 of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, Karma Kanda. If he does not offer to the Lord, and if he uses it only for his sense enjoyment, then he will incur only sin. And also Prabhupada mentions that Maharaja Yudhishthira is advised by Narada not to worry about his uncle suffering for want of food, for they could live on vegetables available in the jungles as prasada of the Supreme Lord, and thus realize the path of salvation. This is what I have to say as far as this verse is concerned. The main thing is here, the Prabhupada wants to mention that Jivo Jivasya Jivanam, even though it is mentioned that as far as the devotee of the Lord, as far as he is concerned, he is subjected to all this, he is obliged to follow the rituals of the Lord, and he has to follow the rules and regulations. So he has to offer the food to the Lord and then do it, and also he has to take the sattvic food. And this Rashtra having gone to the father to undergo the self-realization process, definitely God will be merciful enough to provide him vegetables, etc., vegetables and other all sattvic food in the forest also. This is what I have to say, and thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. So it's really exciting to hear Jivan Prabhu because his desire is always to explain things in elaborate detail. So that is very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Okay, now we move to the other devotees.
Prabhuji, I have one doubt. Even though the verse says there is no mention about the prey. See, this is that like that, the apadani, ahastani, sahastanam, apadani, chatushpadam. But why it is not mentioned? Is it understood or anything like that?
Sorry, can you
There
repeat
is
the
no
question?
word to explain the word. It is the pray for. That is the person who having no
Yeah,
hands
see
is a pray
the
for.
idea is mainly ahastani means who are less capable by the arrangement of the material nature, and sahastanam which are more capable, those who have hands. So the idea is mainly that the stronger is the actually eats away the weaker one. Like for example, we have this rule called big fish will eat the small fish. So
Okay.
this is actually this seems like a cruel law of nature, but that is the way it is. This is
And
what.
I have understood, but only thing there is nothing for specifically mentioning that particular aspect. Jivo Jivasya Jivan means subsistence. Jivo
Yeah.
Jivasya Jivan.
So
Okay. That
ultimately,
is for one living entity, the subsistence is other living entity.
yeah,
That is clear.
ultimately, one living entity has to survive on the other living entity. That is the main idea.
Yeah.
And then,
Thank you.
Prabhupada brings it to the point that the way we see it in the material nature is that the stronger eats the weaker one. But then he brings on further to clarify that it does not apply to the human beings. On human beings, the law of compassion also applies.
Yeah.
So when the human being eats, this verse is not to encourage meat eating. So there are several points in the verse, but let us first of all hear from the other devotees also. Uh, yeah, Manish ji, would you like to recite?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm.
अहस्तानि सहस्तानाम् अपदानि चतुष्पदाम् फाल्गुनी तत्र महताम् जीवो जीवस्य जीवनम्.
Yeah, very
So
nice, Prabhu. It is Falguni.
Falguni, sorry. Falguni tatra mahatam
Hmm.
jivo jivasya jivanam.
Yes, very nice. Yes, please explain the word meanings, please.
Yeah, correct. Ahastani means like the people who are devoid of hands, and
Hmm.
Sahastana means the people who have hands. So as we
Hmm.
discussed that Ahastani will be pray for the Sahastana.
Hmm.
Similarly, the next one was Padani, that is the people who are devoid of legs, and Chatuspadam, the people who are who have four legs. So similarly, the no leg people will be a prey for the four leg one. Third
Hmm.
one is Falguni. Falguni is the people who are Falguni means who are weak.
Hmm.
Falguni Tatra Mahatam. Mahatam is
Strong,
what you say,
strong.
strong. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then Jiva Jivasya Jivanam. So Jiva is the living being of the living being, and Jivanam is the subsistence. So
Hmm.
here again, it is the law of nature or law of existence, where the weak is the subsistence of the strong one. So
Hmm.
as we discussed, typically the weaker animal, like a deer, is typically a prey of a tiger. So tiger can eat
Hmm.
a deer,
Hmm.
and this is how the weak one falls prey to the strong one. But as
Hmm.
we know, this is the law not applicable to human beings, because human beings needs to follow the scriptures, and as per the scriptures, it is clearly written that we have to offer all the food to the Lord, and the
Hmm.
remnants of the food to be eaten.
Hmm.
So we should never apply this verse for human beings, and not take advantage of a weaker person, or not to exploit any weaker person.
Hmm.
However, we have to just look into this law of existence of law of nature, which is clearly stated here, that one of the food of one living being is food for the another. Yeah?
Hmm.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, very nice, Prabhuji. Very nice. Very good points and
Yeah.
very clear recitation, explanation also very good. So now we also have today Charumati Mataji in the class. Mataji, just want to check with you if you would also like to recite the verse if you have memorized it.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
I'm just trying to join into this class. This is the first time I'm joining for a Shloka
Okay.
memorization.
No worries. No
So
worries.
I don't know the procedure. What do you want me to do, Prabhuji?
Well, the procedure is not very difficult. The idea is we issue a list of verses, maybe 4 or 5 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. These are important verses from Canto number 1. And then you will have something like maybe a week or so. Generally, I issue this list of 4 or 5 verses. Like, for example, now my list is getting exhausted. So I will soon issue a list of new set of 5 verses. So you will have time to memorize them. And in the class, we practice reciting it. We practice sharing the word meanings of the different Sanskrit words. And then we try to explain the meaning of the words. And then little bit, maybe a couple of 2-3 points from the purport by Srila Prabhupada, the context of the words, etc. This is mainly to go deeper into the understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we try to learn these verses by heart so that we appreciate Bhagavatam a little bit more. So that is the idea. So
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You can join. I mean, you can memorize them in the next class, and then maybe share your recitation and so on. So this is mainly to encourage each other to learn Bhagavatam a little more deeper. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. I got it.
Okay. So now we go to Jaimala Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.47. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes, Mataji. Please explain the word meanings.
Ahastani is one who is devoid of any hands.
Mhm.
Sahastani is one who has hands. And Apadani is those who are devoid of legs. Chatushpadam are the four-legged animals. Falguni is one who is weak. And Mahatam is one who is strong. And Jivasya Jivanam is one living entity depends on the other for sustenance.
Very nice. Yes, very good. Okay.
Yudhishthira Maharaj finds out that his uncle and aunt, that is Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, have left to the forest in the middle of the night. Then he becomes very concerned about their well-being and he starts lamenting. At that time, Narad Muni comes there and he pacifies with this set of verses. Muni first says that you think that you were maintaining your uncle and aunt, but that is not the truth. It is only God who maintains all the living entities. He is the protector of everyone. How can living entity protect another living entity? Because he himself is under the control of gunas, karma, and kala. We come to this verse, which says that, which explains the law of material nature or law of existence. That is, the weak will always become a food, a prey for the stronger one. Like someone who, an animal who does not have hands, he will become food for the one who has hands. One who is who does not have any legs, an animal who is not having any legs, he will become prey for a stronger one who is four-legged animal. So this is general rule of material nature. And for example, a tiger is stronger than a deer, and so the deer becomes food for the tiger. So he says that there is nothing to lament about. This is called jivo jivasya jivanam. That is, a stronger living entity will always survive upon a weaker living entity. Now this verse has a scope for being misunderstood in the way that we can think that it is promoting meat eating. But here is where Srila Prabhupada's purports are very helpful in understanding the true import of the verse. He says that this law of existence is applicable to animals, but not for human beings, because human beings they might be stronger to many other living entities, but there is another angle which needs to be considered, and that is the life of a human being is for spiritual realization, and he has to obey the law of the scriptures. And animals, anyways, they will not be able to follow. So for a human being, jivo jivasya jivanam means that we have to eat food like fruits, vegetables, roots, etc. after offering to the Lord. Thus, Narad Muni pacifies Yudhishthir Maharaj by saying that your uncle and aunt can survive in the forest by having vegetables, fruits, and whatever they can find, and there is nothing to worry about. So, but he explains this rule of Jivo Jivasya Jivanam, which is applicable for animals, but for the human being, we have to regulate. We have to lead a very regulated life, including our eating habits, and we have to follow the scriptures, and we should not unnecessarily take advantage or exploit other animals or human beings. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, very nice, Mataji. Very sweetly summarized the words, recited very nicely, and explained all the main points from the purport also. Thank you. That is very good. Okay, now we have more devotees. Just want to check if anybody else also would like to recite. So, Rajneesh Prabhu, I recall you generally would like to recite the words. Maybe you can use, you can read it. You may not actually, you may not have memorized it, but if you like to recite it, please go ahead. Oh, I think he has dropped out. No, he's back. Yes, Prabhuji, can you hear?
हाँ जी, स्क्रीन तो आ गई है, लेकिन वो
ओके, मैं आपको स्क्रीन दिखाता हूँ, आप पढ़ना चाहें तो पढ़
हाँ
सकते हैं
स्क्रीन
जी।
जी
हम्म,
सहस्तानि सहस्ता हस्तानि सहस्तान् अहस्तानि सहस्तानां पदानि चतुष्पदां फल्गुनि तत्र महतां महता जीवो जीवस्य जीवनम्।
जी बढ़िया। देखिए यहाँ पर आपने मेरे ख्याल शायद देवनागरी से पढ़ा है,
हाँ
लेकिन
जी, हाँ
यदि,
जी,
हाँ, लेकिन यदि आप इंग्लिश वाला जो वर्जन है उसमें पढ़ेंगे तो आपको क्लियर होगा कि अहस्तानी सहस्ता नाम, तो आपने उसके बाद पढ़ा पदानी चतुष्पदाम। पर ये
जी
वास्तव में अपदानी चतुष्पदाम है। तो ये जो अपदानी चतुष्पदाम है, ये थोड़ा सा देवनागरी में समझना पड़ता है, क्योंकि संधि हो गई है तो वो अ जो है वो म में ही मिल गया है।
जी जी
तो अहस्तानी सहस्तानाम अपदानी चतुष्पदाम, हालांकि यहाँ अ लिखा नहीं
हाँ,
है पर पढ़ा ऐसे जाएगा जी।
उसमें 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 म हल हो जाएगा ना, म हल हो
हाँ
जाएगा।
हाँ, लेकिन वो हमारे को समझना होता है, संधि में थोड़ा सा ये कई बार
हम्म,
क्लियर नहीं होता है, तो लेकिन ये हमको श्लोक के अर्थ से समझना होता है कि इसको पढ़ा कैसे जाएगा। अहस्तानी
जी जी
सहस्तानाम अपदानी चतुष्पदाम, इस तरह से जी। सो वेरी गुड, आई थिंक एवरीवन डिड वेरी वेल। Also in the purport there is one more point where Prabhupada is discussing that this verse is not to be meant that is not promoting meat eating. And devotees have mentioned that point. But also Prabhupada mentioned another point, that if somebody is really fond of meat eating, then they can also offer meat to the agent of the Lord, to some representative of the Lord. So sometimes people think that Sanatan Dharma or Vedic Dharma are all promoting vegetarianism. Certainly that is the case for people who are willing to progress in spiritual life. They need to shun away from meat eating. But Vedic literature is not only meant for people who are trying to progress or who are vegetarians, but it is also mentioned for people for all walks of life, including meat eaters. So those people who have this developed this taste for eating meat, and they want to give away that taste, then there are gradual processes in the Vedic Sanatan Dharma to encourage them to gradually leave this eating habit of eating meat. So what typically happens is that people who have fond of meat eating, they may do it religiously also. Religiously means they may offer the they may sacrifice the animal at the altar, like for example goddess Kali. So they may offer the sacrifice the animal on the altar of goddess Kali, offer this meat to goddess Kali, and then maybe partake to this meat. So like this, they can kind of spiritualize their meat eating also. But that is not meant for promoting meat eating. That is gradually to shun away, because when you offer the meat to goddess Kali, there are some rules of eating meat. Like for example, when you sacrifice the animal, you have to speak on in the ear of the animal the word mamsa. Mamsa. So mamsa means we are telling the animal that, like I am eating you in this life, you may also eat me in your next life. So by doing this ritual, generally the idea is that it will discourage the person from eating meat in the due course of time. And then you have to offer this animal for sacrifice on certain days, and so on. So it is mainly to regulate the habit of eating meat, making it to a more religious fold, and then gradually leave it and then progress further. So that is the whole objective. So that point also Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. But otherwise, I think devotees captured all the points. Like it is once one living entity eating other living entity, it is part of Adi Bhautik Klesha. So we have Adhyatmik Klesha, Adi Bhautik Klesha, Adi Daivik Klesha, three types of miseries in this material world. So this is mainly for Adi Bhautik Klesha, where one living entity actually eats away the other living entity. And in general, our subsistence is dependent on other living entities. Like for human beings also, we eat plants. Devotees who are, we eat plant, but we offer it to the Lord, then we eat it. Then for human being, this rule of eating other animal doesn't apply, because compassion, rule of compassion also applies to us. And like that. So I think most of the points have been covered by other devotees. So with this, we come to the conclusion of the class. If you have any questions, maybe we can have a short discussion, but otherwise we'll go to the next program. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So maybe any questions regarding this verse? Okay, if no questions, then we conclude the class. I will stop the recording and then we move to the next one.